Hey guys, how's it going? All right, I just want to give you guys a little story about what happened to my car a couple days ago. So basically, what happened was the car was driving fine all day without any kind of issue, and I went to Walmart, parked it there, went, got something, came back, and out of nowhere, it wouldn't crank. So no crank, no start issue that I had. So basically, everything on the dash worked fine. Everything in the car worked fine. There was absolutely no issues at all. The remote worked fine. Was able to get into the car. Radio was blasting. Radio was on. Everything. All right. So basically, I was thinking to myself, probably the battery was the issue. So what I did was I turned on the headlights, went out and checked out the beam, just to give me a gauge on how bright the headlights were. I could probably determine whether the battery was good or not. And the headlights were really bright. So right off the bat, I was thinking if they were that bright, I should at least get like a really slow crank if the battery was kind of low. Regardless, I had to check out where the battery was. I went and checked out where the battery was just to make sure that all the terminals were clean and they were tight. And I noticed that the terminals were a little bit corroded. There was some white bluish stuff on there. So what I did was I took out a bottle of Coke, poured it on the terminals, and was trying to clean it with some paper towels, and was able to clean it pretty good. Now the terminals weren't super tight. I was able to wiggle it out, but they were snug in there, so I knew that it probably wasn't the terminal being loose that was causing the issue. And then after I cleaned it up, popped it back on, and tried to start the car, it did the same thing. It wouldn't crank, it wouldn't start. But everything else seemed to be working all right. So at that point, I was thinking to myself, all right, maybe it could be a weak ground wire. If you guys don't know what where the ground wire is, the main ground wire is pretty much the negative terminal, and most of the time it connects to the frame of your car. So I checked it just to make sure there's no corrosion, that it wasn't split or anything like that. There was no issues with it. So what I did after that was I had a battery pack that I bought a couple of months ago because I had the same situation where I swapped out the battery. I was hoping that it was the battery, even though I swapped it out, considering I could actually just swap it out, at Walmart. So I actually put the battery pack on there. It was at 100%. Tried to start it, and still wouldn't start. So at that point, I knew it was probably not the battery. And even though, I didn't think it was the alternator, I could probably just at that point rule out the alternator, because if it was the alternator, the car would have at least cranked, a slow crank, or I would have been able to start it. And then once I took the battery pack off, it would have just died out. So at that point, I was able to rule out a bunch of stuff. I was able to rule out the battery, the ground cable, and the alternator, even though that probably wouldn't have caused the issue. So after going through that, I was thinking to myself, could it be something, could it be the car's computer ECU? Because I did see a check engine light on my dash, and that check engine light was there. It's been there for a while, and I believe it was for a O2 sensor issue. Now, I did have an OBD2 that I bought from Walmart, and it was a $19 OBD2, one of the cheap ones, and I pretty much hooked it on to my OBD port, and tried to make sure that I was actually getting a connection between the car's computer and the car itself. It did scan all the way through. Now, I'm pretty sure that that the OBD2 wouldn't actually pick up anything that would cause a no crank, no start situation for the most part, except if 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 the car's ECU, the car's computer was, for some reason separated from the car. For what reason, couldn't communicate with the car. But anyway, regardless, I actually plugged it in. It scanned all the way through. Only code that popped up was the aux02 sensor code, and at that point, I was pretty sure that it wasn't anything to do with the car's computer, any codes that would cause it, and I actually had to move on to I had to move on to some other troubleshooting outside of that, because that wasn't causing the issue. So basically, I got to a couple of things, which were the fuses and the relays, which were highly capable of causing a situation like this. And got to the fuses, checked out all the fuses, just to make sure that none of them were blown. And I was actually looking at them. Now, I didn't have a fuse tester on me. I didn't think it was the fuses. Now, the two situations that I've had where fuse would cause a situation like that, one of those situations was a Honda that I had where the main fuse blew, and I was getting no power throughout the whole entire car. The main fuse was the fuse that connected the battery to the fuse box itself. And that was the previous situation that I have, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't the same situation that I had, so I could rule that out, because I was getting power to everything except it wouldn't start. Now, the other situation I had pertaining to a fuse that caused a no start situation was actually a crank no start situation, and I think one of the fuses actually blew. Then that fuse was connected to the ECU or the fuel pump. And I remember once I changed out that fuse, the car would crank, but it wouldn't start. Once I changed out that fuse, it was able to start up. So I could rule out those two situations as being, related to a fuse issue that would cause this situation that I had. So, so basically, I could rule those things, the fuses out, and the fuses were pretty clean. I didn't smell any kind of burnt smell, and didn't see any kind of brownish, anything brownish, and a brownish appearance on top. So at that point, I was able to kind of rule out the fuses, not at 100%, but I was able to rule out the fuses for the most part. So basically, at that point, I had a situation where I was maybe, it could have been the relays or the starter. That's what the two situations that came up. But I didn't think it was the starter, because I did switch out the starter about, I would say I switched out the starter about 1.5 years ago, and that it seemed like it was a starter issue, but I didn't really want it to be a starter issue, considering I only put maybe like 20,000 miles on my car, and I think they should last a lot longer than that. But anyway, before I even went there, I looked at the relays, just to see whether they had issues or not. Now, I couldn't make out whether the relays had issues, but I did get to the starter relay. I pulled it out. It looked like it was a bit dirty or whatever, but I had some rubbing alcohol, put it on some paper towel, and wiped the connectors, put it back in, try to start it. It really didn't do anything. Didn't change up the situation. So I was thinking it was a weird situation, because it would click every time I would I would try to start the car. It would click, but it wouldn't crank. It wouldn't crank at all. Normally when it clicks, it normally means that the relay is working, because that's what the relays do when there's electricity going through, that it clicks to connect the connection, to whatever it's relaying the electricity to. But regardless of that, I actually had another relay that I was able to swap out with that, and I actually was looking for another relay with the same, with a similar relay in the box, and I was actually able to find one. And what I did was I took that relay out, and I swapped it with that with the other relay, and I went back and tried to start it, and guess what? Bam! It started up. It worked without a problem. And at that point, I knew that it was the relay that was the problem. All right. So it was a pretty easy fix. I drove to AutoZone, which was within that whole shopping center. Swapped out the relay, and that was like 3 days ago. Haven't had a situation since. I've been driving the car, turning it on, off, for 3 days. Haven't had that situation at all. So just want to give you guys, just gonna give you guys that story of a quick fix that I had of my car. If you guys are in the same situation, you guys watching this video, hopefully you guys have as easy of a fix as I had on my car. You guys have a comment, leave your comment in the comment section. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Like I said, if you guys are in the same situation, just go through the steps that I went through as far as trying to figure out, the situation with my car. And, you guys should be good as far as troubleshooting and diagnosing your particular problem. Take care, guys.